Oris just launched this cherry red design of their popular Aquis date watch. Do I like it? What do we think about it? I'll review and we'll see what we think on this episode of Adventures with Time. I love experiencing new watches, even new variants of existing watches. When I learned that Oris was going to release a red dial edition of their popular Aquis date watch, I wanted to see it in person. I don't have a red dial watch in my collection. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I was very tempted by the red dial Grand Seiko SBGH 269, which is a red dial reminiscent of the red lacquered floors one might see in a historic Japanese castle. I asked Oris if they would lend me this new watch like they had done for the Oris Aquis Date Caliber 400 watch. Well, I just received this Oris Aquis Date Cherry Dial Edition, which became available March 11th, 2021. So let's take a look at this new watch to see what we think. By the way, I'll leave links to my videos on Grand Seiko and the Aquis Date Caliber 400 at the end. This new watch is based on the Oris Aquis Date, for which there are 43 different models ranging in size from 36.5 millimeters to 43.5 millimeters in diameter. This new model is available with only a diameter of 41.5 millimeters and has virtually identical specifications to the other 41.5 millimeter Aquis Date models, with the exception of the dial collar and the bezel. This cherry red edition comes with a stainless steel high-relief diver bezel as seen on the Oris Aquis Date Relief model. Other than that, I find no differences except for the retail price of $2,300 US, which is $100 greater than the standard models. It has that same conical shaped case where the bezel overhangs the top of the case by a couple of millimeters, giving this watch a really massive look to it. This watch has the same nicely angled hour markers. That 6 o'clock date wheel uses the same lume and hands and the same large crown and massive crown protectors, and comes on a tapered bracelet just like the other watches. But with the proper screw head, you could unscrew those lug screws and replace it with either another bracelet or rubber strap or any strap of your liking, which is all good. A real dive tool watch, right? This watch uses, like many of the other models, the Sellita SW200 movement. Why they didn't go with their new Caliber 400 is a question. Perhaps they would have had to use the larger 43.5 millimeter case for that, and they didn't want to do that. And if you're not familiar with the Aquis Date, I suggest you look at that other video I made on the Aquis Date Caliber 400, where I also compare it to the standard Aquis Date. But does the cherry red sunburst dial and high relief bezel make for a better watch? Do I like it? My answer is yes and no. Now hold on a minute, this is not a cop-out. Let me explain. First, the positive points. As I said before, this is a nice dive watch. I like the feel of the Aquis Date models, and this 41.5 millimeter size on the bracelet is no exception. It is on the heavy side at about 175 grams, but feels fine on the wrist. And I like the high relief stainless steel bezel on this new model. I think it makes the watch have some nice presence on the wrist. Now I say that as a desktop diver, which means I would question the readability of this bezel for a true diver underwater with limited visibility. The big disappointment for me is the dark dial color. Yes, when reflecting a strong light source, the color comes out and you get a nice sunray effect. However, indoors or in the shade, the dial appears almost black in color. This means most of the time you're not going to get the full impact of that cherry red dial. I think it would have greater appeal if they went with a brighter shade of red. In the end, I don't think this is a watch I'd go for. I know it's hard to tell from the pictures, but what do you think? Is this a color option you'd select, or is it too dark, or perhaps red is not your preference? Here are those other videos I mentioned. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you in my next video.